Welcome to the Rocket Launcher Podcast. This is episode 156. I am your host, Supreme King. Join with me, as always, is my co-host, and his name is...
It's your guy Amazes.
How's everything going for you, man? How is it?
I'm chilling. The weather getting a little cool caught me off guard, but it's fine. I'm doing all right. How you doing?
It depends. It seems like it's hot and cold. But, yeah, it's cool for me. It ain't that cold yet, but I'll be prepared, because I know it's going to break all of a sudden at one point. Then you're going to have consistent 40, 50 degree weather. But we are getting some more, cooler, rainy days, I'm sure. But yes, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for your support. Comment, share, subscribe, all of that YouTube good stuff. I am in the process of buying a couple more pieces of equipment. Not a lot. I don't really need that much, but just a couple different, more high quality lights that I can control the dimness and all that stuff. Because I'm going to be making a comeback, man. I promise this time I'm going to make a comeback. Because really I'm just being lazy with it. I don't have to be lazy anymore. Because I have ways of editing and everything really fast. So one thing I wanted to say to start things off, the game on the screen, this is actually Forza Motorsport. The latest Forza game in the series. I think this is this was released in 2024. But Forza Motorsport, not to be confused with Forza Horizon 5. This was a GamePass title. I am currently running through not so many long games, but really the shorter ones right inside of GamePass real quick. The main game that I'm finishing up is Doom: The Dark Ages. Very good game. Very fun game. But this, and I think sooner than later, Flight Simulator, I'll show a couple little things about that, in the next couple of weeks. My Game Pass expires, I think, either on the 21st or the 23rd. I forgot what it was, but I'll try to get as much of this done as I can beforehand. I have no intentions on actually playing Forza where I would quote unquote beat it. I don't think it's that type of game for me. You just race a little bit. But I do want to mention some impressions of it. So Forza Motorsport, in comparison to Forza Horizon 5, I do think they put the training wheels on this particular game a little bit. One thing I would like to say, if you notice these tight turns where you have to kind of hit the brake to make those turns, I partially hit the brake, but I felt like the game was pushing the brake for me. There's a lot of noticeable spots where it does that, and I think it was set up by default to help you through turns or something. Because normally in these type of games, I just slam across the wall and just be done with it, but I barely could hit the wall. I hit it a couple times, but a lot of the tight turns, half of it is them braking for me way ahead of time before I would actually want to brake. And I think it's almost like aim assist for certain shooters and stuff. And I'm pretty sure it's a setting that I can go find and turn off, but I just know when you start it up, I didn't go into the settings at all. I just kind of just turned it on and played. That was something that it does. It will try to slow you down right before you have one of those nice little turns. As you can see, you still got the rewind feature, which is still cool. But I mean, it's the same old racer. It's got, nice dope cars, very good graphics. I mean, this footage does not do it justice at all. This was originally played on PC with a 4090 graphics card. The footage looks fantastic when you're playing live, right? This was toned down just for the podcast, down at 1080p. But as a racer, I mean, Forza is still a very good racer. Highly recommend it for anybody who's into racing games. I'm very much into racing games. The cutesy, cartoony ones to a high end, real time graphics looking one. And these have some moments in there where I actually thought it was like a cut scene where they just shot a real film, but it was like no, it wasn't. It was like the actual game. Because Forza is known very, very well for their graphics. One other thing I do want to mention, because I think you've already seen it a little bit, it does have its load times. Maybe it's because the graphics and everything is like really, really like taxing or something like that. Like it really pushes the hardware, maybe, but it has a lot of load times in between certain sections. It's not just like go and then seamless transition. It's like, no, it really does have to load it in. But once it loaded in, it looks really good. Like this right here, I thought was like a real scene, but it actually wasn't. It was actually still the game. I was like, okay, all right. But yeah, that's Forza. That's what I just wanted to mention real quick. You play some Forza games, man? You play any of these? You still there? I think he left. I think he had enough, ladies
I'm
and
here.
gentlemen.
Nah,
Easy. All right.
my bad. I was muted. So, I never played the Forza games. I was a Need for Speed person growing up, and then a little bit of Gran Turismo, because I was on the PlayStation side of things. So,
All right. Well, Forza Motorsport, it is in Game Pass. I do believe you can still buy it and play it on both Xbox and PC. Highly recommend it. I think it's a fun title. Definitely play a lot of games, like a lot of racers. Don't just play like the top, racer. The top two racers are fun. I don't know what it is. All of a sudden, I'm just really into them. I got like 4 or 5 different racers going at one time. So I'm having a ball with them. I usually play a racer before I play like my main game of the day, something like that. Forza, I just so happen to say, you know what, I should start playing this one right now just because of the ticking time bomb of Game Pass. But yeah, I actually just wanted to show this off, and then I wanted to go into the aftermath of Game Pass. Is like the aftermath of Game Pass's price hike or whatever. Some of the things that I've seen. So if you were living under a rock, the talk of the town like a week and 2 weeks ago was Xbox raising the price of Game Pass, introducing a new tier, and the main one being like $30, right? And so that was a whole thing. Throughout that whole process, everybody and their mama made a video saying that, Xbox's brand is completely done. It's done. It's tarnished. You can't do anything else with it. Usually every time they do a bad decision, you hear that. But from the news, we heard that Xbox tried to be a little sneaky with it, and in other countries that was not the US, they said that the price won't increase if you've already had it turned on, but if you like cancel it for whatever reason, then it will increase on you. Which is in like, I think they said small European countries and stuff. That's where they had it, but not necessarily everywhere. Did you hear about this at all?
I didn't, and that's messed up. Almost to try and say, like, because did the price hike kick in already?
Yeah, it's already kicked in. Yeah.
And so I guess that was their way of trying to, like, hey, please don't cancel. Like, you'll be fine. We're just going to hurt, like, anybody who's returning, or I guess. Like, I don't know. I'm already against the price hike. I'm against all of these companies doing this type of stuff, so it just seems scummy to do.
So yeah, they did that, and people were reporting on that and everything. They didn't do it with America though. They did it with like, I guess there's smaller countries where they barely was trying to hold on to their fan base anyway.
Yeah.
Over there. So
Gotta do something to try and just keep them. I guess
yeah,
everybody trying to cancel, like, you got to do something.
yeah. So that was a whole thing, and then I remember just seeing for a split second people was spreading the rumor that Xbox was not going to do any more hardware going forward, which I didn't believe at all, but I just knew the momentum of bad Xbox news was going to lead to something like that anyway. And then in the midst of that, that's when I guess details of regarding their new system leaked, which was interesting. And I don't know if Xbox did that on purpose just to change the conversation, but then yeah, that kind of happened. So then some more details about the system, I guess, leaked. I didn't really look at it because we judge the system once it comes out because it could be anything on paper until you actually make it, right? The main thing I remember before was just it was supposed to have like apps that bridge the gaps between Xbox and PC, where you could have PC elements with inside of the console space itself, which includes Steam. And the Rogue Ally and other devices, they have software where they're already trying to do it. And again, the Xbox Rogue Ally X and the white one is supposed to come out October 16th, 2025. So it's like by the time you actually hear this, it might be out. Um, and so we'll see more about that. I guess they have like the big picture mode similar to Steam big picture mode within the Xbox app itself and allow you to switch in between different games seamlessly, which isn't really new. That's something that was done on the Series X a little bit. They was calling it quick resume. But yeah, it's got something like that in there. Hopefully Xbox could do something to turn the bad reputation around. It always seems to be a thing where their reputation is usually good right in the middle of the summer, and then by the time you hit holiday season is bad again, and they don't get to fix it until we get to the summer again because they're doing a bunch of shows and a bunch of releases and stuff, and that's just kind of where they're at. Real quick, you see this scene right here? So I thought this was real at first. But this this was a part of the game. The dude who was walking around and stuff, this was not real. I was like, oh shoot. But it did go straight into the like long loading screens again. Anyways, I think Forza also announced at some point that they were going to do Forza Horizon 6. That was going to be in Japan. I think they announced that at the Xbox Tokyo show. So look out for that. Either I don't know when, next year or probably next year. But yeah, so I don't know how long it's gonna take for Xbox to get their stuff together, but or Microsoft, but they got to figure out a way to keep media on the positive side for them, because with other companies when they have negative press, it's negative, but it's not like detrimental negativity. Where it seems like when it's Xbox, it really is detrimental negativity for them. Like some of the other news, I think I'm just now seeing, like as of today, they were saying things like Target is joining Costco and Sam's Club and a couple other places where they're like removing Xbox merchandise off the shelf, which I'm not too sure if that's true. I think it's just more they don't have as much of it just sitting there, and people took a nice screenshot where a lot of stuff is just empty shelves, which we see all the time now and a lot of retail stores. But the problem with it is they're just getting bad press constantly, and it's their fault. The mixed messaging with the games, the price hikes, all of that, not being able to just stick to a steady plan and just doing all types of stuff that the consumer is not asking for. It is their fault. It's going to take them a long time. It might just take them to the summer again, just to get things back running again. But yeah, I just want to mention that information as far as Xbox, and I guess Forza. So, let's jump to one of your topics real quick. What's going on with like hackers? What are we talking about? What's going on with this?
So, three different stories from this week. Discord had a data breach where they said like 70,000, so 70,000 government
Mm-hmm.
ID photos were exposed in a Discord like hacker thing. I guess they were able to get people's like IDs and some
I
emails
actually
and
think
things
I
like
saw
that.
something like that. Yeah.
Yep. Then report came in yesterday that Nintendo got hacked by the Crimson Collective group where they leaked apparently like a lot of gigs. Like it was something like 500 or something, or maybe 50. One of those two gigs worth of like behind the scenes stuff. Uh, so I don't know if they released the information yet, but they said they got it
Mm.
uh, from some hacking group, a famous hacking group. And then Obsidian had removed, I think, like 5 games: Pentiment, Pillars of Eternity, both of them, and then the premium editions of Avowed and Grounded 2, because what's that thing called? Unity.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up getting hacked with like security issues that were like found in June and kind of just patched this month. But to protect like some of the data, I guess, got out. So anything that runs on Unity was hacked, but specifically because Obsidian's bigger, they're the ones that got talked about because they removed games because of it. So Pentiment, Pillars of Eternity 1 and 2, both run on Unity, and then the premium edition of Avowed and Grounded 2 came with digital art books, and the art books were made through Unity. So those ones they had to remove from the store for a while. I think they might be back, but they had to remove them from the store and not stop people from buying them while this thing get patched because of the data leaks. So hackers are out here being annoying again.
That's silly. Uh, I don't know if it like they say it affects the average consumer and stuff, but um
Mostly, I found out actually what for the most part happens. And again, by found out, I mean it wasn't like me diving like into this information. But a lot of times, what ends up happening is there's these, the spam calls and all of those companies and ads and things like that, like all the junk email.
mhm.
Basically, they buy emails, right? Because they can't just sit there and just try like random emails and hope the numbers work out, because then they'll just get a lot of rejections. But if this stuff gets taken, then the hackers sell that to the junk email people, and that's why you'll get a mass amount of like, we got a loan offer from you from like a company you never heard of, or just random spam calls. And it's like how they get my number. That's usually what ends up happening. It's never like a case of like your whole identity is stolen. It's usually just that's their way of trying to get you in to click on stuff.
Mm. Well, they still doing too much.
Oh yeah.
Wasting. I feel like they wasting their times because even with when those leaks happen with like big companies like the X what is it Wolverine one, the X-Men game at one point, it's like the stuff like leaks, but that don't mean the company's gonna do anything about it. Like them companies seem like they don't even be caring. It's like,
How
okay,
many
you
times
leaked our stuff.
they just advertise something and then 3 years later it just ain't never happened and it's just gone? So like leaks really don't mean nothing.
Even with I remember the GTA 6 leaks where it's just like really early test builds and stuff that was leaking everywhere. That obviously didn't slow down momentum at all. And it kind of just was there for like a weekend and it was just gone just like that. It was like we didn't really care. And let's face it, GTA 6 is still probably the hottest game that's going to be coming out in 2026. So like it's not gonna hurt it, you know. And then they're just kind of wasting time because I remember one of them companies they was asking for ransom and stuff, and the company was just like, no, we're just not gonna pay. And they're like, well, we're gonna lease the code on online. I was like, okay, you'll have like a few like PC people who might just attempt to make some sort of like version of it or something, and they were doing that with like Wolverine. But outside of that, it's like people are still gonna buy the original when it really comes out, and they're gonna just play that. Like they're not gonna be playing some like ghost of a game because you release code on the internet. So goofy stuff. Goofy stuff. They're wasting their time. There's no real reason to do all of that. Anyways, let's move on to another topic. I did wanted to go over just a few things that I've seen involving the Ayn Thor 3DS looking device. Did you see any of these like video clips that I sent you regarding
Yeah.
this device?
Yeah, I like not like heavily watched, but I went through them. The Thor one, the first one, the older one.
Hmm.
It looks cool. It looks real cool. It just looks like a nice DS.
So,
Was able to play higher up stuff.
are they enticing you to like want to get one?
The Thor,
Yeah.
not necessarily.
So, what would be
So
your reason why not?
one's kind of the price point. To a degree. I mean, it's not terrible for a price point. It's like 200. Um,
Now, from
it's
my
not.
understanding, one of them is the Thor Light that I believe is at 250, and they mentioned that if you really just wanted to do DS and 3DS, that one's got you covered. I do remember them saying that. So
Okay,
yeah.
so I mean, yeah, that's not terrible. Another kind of reason is, and I think we're gonna end up talking about it, but like Ambernick is jumping into the competition as well. And theirs looks a little cheaper, but the main reason, and I think this is just all me, I have a 3DS already, and I kind of have all the games that I did want on 3DS. So it wasn't like there was anything that I really missed out on. So getting this, like, it just feels kind of like overkill for me. Like, from some of the older games, which I already have for some of the systems, there's a bunch of things I missed. But like 3DS and DS wise, I have all the stuff that I actually wanted. So getting this would just be kind of like trying out things that were not even on my like top tier list. So there isn't really a reason to jump into that one for me.
For me, it's more about closing the gap of the availability of games in a certain time frame, because I have pretty much everything that came right before it, right? And
Yeah.
then everything afterwards is more the modern stuff that you can just play on modern hardware. There are a few different titles that I do want to play on there. I mainly want to have DS, 3DS, PSP, and PS Vita titles on there as much as I can fit. But yes, the Ambernick device coming into the mix has opened it up a little bit. So before, there was this one device that was called the Ion Neo, and that one was the most expensive one, that had like a yellow and black version that cost the most, and everybody was like, why does this version cost the most if I just want that color? Those were the ones that was like pushing $600-$700, right? So because of the Iron Thor's specs and everything, and the announcement of an Ambernick version of this type of device, it does make that one just kind of be done away with, honestly. We priced them out completely. So the details around the Iron Thor. So from my understanding, this is available now. This is available where people can go buy whatever version they want. From my understanding, it can play at 120 hertz basically. If you're looking at DS and 3DS, you can also upscale it. It'll look a lot better. A couple things that was interesting about it that stood out to me that I don't think I've ever done before, but you can use, like, let's say you're playing a game that only has one screen, right? You could use the second screen to do other things like follow a guide, a strategy guide, if you have one digitally, or go as far as like watch other videos, like YouTube related or something. Which might be an overkill to some people, but the strategy thing was what stood out to me because I was like, okay, you could play other, you could watch the strategy of the game. That stood out to me. It was mentioned in some of these videos that they forget that they're emulating, which is always good because you want something that's just like very seamless. I know with a lot of devices, they have like little to zero issues playing not Grand Theft Auto, uh, GBA games, right? Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games. Almost everything can do it flawlessly, and they're saying this Thor device can do DS and 3DS flawlessly. Obviously, it's doing a whole lot more, but the main thing that people are looking at is this for, it can do it with no problem. This device apparently can play those games for like 6 to 9 hours, which is perfect. I don't think you need it to be any longer than 6 to 9 hours on a charge. So it can handle 3DS with no problem. Obviously, if you go a little bit higher, then you're cutting down the battery. But I'm really only reporting from the perspective of somebody that wants a DS or 3DS, basically. So keep that in mind. It also can play, which I think is probably this thing's peak in a way. The Wii U games are playable, where the second screen is like what the pad would have been, and the top screen would have been like the Wii U games kind of thing. That is unique. That it can even do that. Apparently, it even has the ability to play some Switch games, which is gonna like, pee off who. But the thing is doing what it needs to do, and that's all that matters to me. And then yes, the elephant in the room, Ambernick has just announced that they have their version as well with multiple different colors, and they claim that theirs is just going to be under $100.
Real quick, what I was gonna say is, where I said that I don't really need it because of the 3DS stuff, where I am actually now considering getting one though, even though I have all the DS and 3DS games that I want, it would be kind of cool to have something that can portably do the PS2 GameCube games, right? Instead of only on my like PC for it. So that's, and it's like if I'm gonna get something that can run those games, might as well get one that can also do the DS and 3DS, like anyways, instead of like just not having that one. But as you're about to mention so I'm sometimes like a loyalist. If I got a product that like works, I usually then stick with that company. Is why even though some people don't like Skull Candy, I always kind of stick with Skull Candy because it's worked for me. So with Ambernick, the other device works, and then seeing that they're also releasing one, and what you're about to talk about with the price point and stuff, but I want to see what its specs are. But I might, like, considering if I really, really want the PS2 and GameCube stuff portable, that's where I might end up getting one of these two.
When it comes to GameCube and PS2, I would recommend the Steam Deck, honestly, because the community has really done an excellent job of closing the gap when it comes to that, because they have their patches and then they also have their artwork that's in there, and over the years they've really made it to where it's seamless and flawless. And I've played like every little thing that I have had footage for, like for the podcast, have come off the Steam Deck, and it doesn't look like I'm on the Steam Deck. You would have thought that I was just playing the game natively. The only other thing is, like, if you're hooking it up to like TV or something, then obviously you're gonna need a controller, and that's where I would actually recommend the Nixie controller for the GameCube side, because that controller can also be, split apart to be Switch controllers on the actual Switch, the first Switch. But then if you put it together, that exact same controller works as a wireless GameCube controller that you can play on the Steam Deck. and I've used it both ways to even play like Metroid Prime Remastered, which was a game that I actually played or actually bought on the Switch. And then the sequel I plan to play on the Steam Deck because technically there is no Switch version right now, right? That's I used to like criticize Nintendo for that. I was like, well, how do you go from 1 to 4 and you skip 2 and 3? So because they done that, like I can go play that on the Steam Deck with that controller, capture the footage for here, have a good old time. I do recommend that like when we're talking any of those systems to stick with the Steam Deck because there's no worry about any type of compromise. One thing I've noticed with other devices, sometimes when you go into the PS2 and GameCube, it might be the limit for the device. The Thor device, it looks like it can handle it, honestly, but I'm not necessarily. I don't think that the Ambernick device will be able to do it. Only because if they're really gonna do under $100, they're not gonna make it as powerful as the Thor device. It's going to be attractive because it's Ambernick. They come out with these type of devices every month, and once they start doing it, we'll get used to their devices. But from like the Game Boy, for example, I do know DS, the first DS, and PSP was its limit. And it's fine at $60, and it wasn't necessarily meant to do that. I was just, for like my device, for example, I threw those games in there because there was space for them. But the clamshells is what like I want to play those type of games on because it's more proper space. PSP only has one screen, Vita has one screen. So something like that probably is better handled on like maybe a Steam Deck or a Rogue Ally. But I recommend it on those because those devices have a strong enough community where the community really does fill in the gap. And with like the Rogue Ally, for example, it also has the Xbox community behind it now with the Xbox version. And so it's more relevant. Where the Ambernick device, the problem with it is it'll get you to get it because it's cheap, but there's not really an actual community to like back this up long term, right? The Steam Deck is going. If the Steam Deck was made by Ambernick, it would have been long forgotten at this point. They would have had so many other versions and it would have been just too convoluted for people to follow. You know what I'm saying? So like usually when they have like a clamshell device or if they have like a device, one person out there might do one piece of software and then they'll update it for so long and then just never do it again. Because at that point, so many other devices would have came out, So that's the only thing that I would say. So I would like to see what Ambernick has to offer. I'm not itching to buy one of these like clamshells yet, but I will say I am now actively making sure I have my library in order. I'm about 10% into one of the systems already as we speak. And I want to make sure I have all four, at least the best of the best of all four. If it's not going to fit everything that makes sense. But from my understanding from what I did before, the DS wasn't even really that large. The 3DS is large, but it's still within range. And these devices allow you to have up to 1 terabyte of storage externally. So like this Black Friday, no matter what, I do plan to buy the SD card just to make sure that I have that. So once I get the device, I'm just good to go, basically. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about this?
Oh, nope.
All right. Doom is on the screen. Is this 2016?
Yes.
What system did you play this on?
PS5.
Okay, tell us about your experience with Doom.
It is fun. It is very chaotic. Like, you feel powerful. Like, sometimes you kind of forget, as you see here with me dying, that, like, you aren't invincible. Like, because sometimes you're just running through and just using a shotgun to just blow up demons. It very quickly gets you into the story. It's not like a long drawn out story. Like the short version of it is you're on like a space station alien planet, and like there's demons and you gotta kill them. Like that's like, go. Um and even from the beginning of the game, it just moves quick and it's a lot of fun. Um a nice challenge without being like overly difficult, and just, super exciting to play through. And again, you just kind of feel like just the coolest person ever just running through with this. And it just is constant moving, right? If you slow down, you're gonna get swarmed. So you just gotta keep moving around, keep shooting, keep going. Uh, Definitely a fun game.
Yeah. So I'm playing Doom the Dark Ages right now. This one is going to be next. After I'm done with that, I'm probably gonna wait maybe till like December though. But the Dark Ages is excellent. It's good fun. You got to really keep your head on the swivel on that one. This one, from what I can see, I don't know if you're in the beginning of the game. It's a little bit more turned down compared to the Dark Ages with like the enemies, from what I can see. But it looks like a good starting point if people didn't understand like the type of game they would get themselves into. I do plan to play the older ones as well at some point, going as far back as I believe PlayStation 1, N64, and PC. Um, but yeah, Doom, very fun running gun type game. At certain points, you can like do fatality melees on the
Yeah,
fly and stuff.
you eventually unlock a chainsaw in this one.
Yeah.
These are the current like beginning of the game fatality ones when they start glowing and like rip a dude's arm off and hit him with it. But then like you eventually get like a chainsaw to go through people, and like different types of guns, and it's just all about using what's best. From my understanding, the first one is very much move around, run and gun. The second one has a lot more verticality, so a lot more jumping involved. And then the third one is your slow mow them down, like sort of, instead of just quickly running away, and getting out of Dodge's way. So I'm interested to play the other ones too to see how the style changes.
I wouldn't say the third one is slow. It does have its moments where you have to be very precise if you wanted to use the parry mechanic. There are certain enemies that are like tougher enemies where you absolutely have to use the parry mechanic just to to knock them down. The third one has a lot of different features that are like I wasn't expecting. Like I knew there was going to be a dragon, right, that you could ride. I had no idea they was gonna do a giant mech Megazord at one point, and that was hype. I was like, "Oh shoot, we in a Megazord!" So they got that, and they have like, a nice steady upgrades of guns that you could just find at the end of certain levels and stuff, or in the middle of certain levels. Different power ups and everything. I don't know if you have a shield in this game, but I know in the other one you have a shield, and that shield could do all types of like Captain America type stuff.
Yeah, I think that's
Along
just for
with the
Dark
parry.
Ages. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's just for Dark Ages, not this one.
yeah, it's a pretty cool game, but I definitely want to play this one as well. I know Doom is, for whatever reason, the go-to game for a lot of people to benchmark their PCs. Like it's like a staple one to do, especially 2016 for some reason. It's like how good is your PC? Let's see how it runs Doom, I guess. So this might be a game for a lot of people to definitely get once they get a PC, if they don't already have one, or if they really want to test the limits of their PC. Doom and Doom Eternal for sure is for whatever reason the benchmark game for doing this. But yeah, Doom is fun. I do like a lot of indie titles that kind of look like Doom, but just like more pixelated. Didn't they just, who gave away one of them? I think it might have been PlayStation. Was it like Bolt Gun or something? Is that was the name of it?
Yep, that was on. I played that before too. That was on.
Yeah, they got a lot of other games that are inspired by it. This is another type of title I like.
Wouldn't necessarily say Bolt Gun is necessarily inspired by Doom because it's part of the Warhammer like series, but it's definitely similar.
Yeah, I just mean like with the gameplay and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the gameplay. Here's the other footage where you died in like 15 seconds. I was just like, well, how you die as soon as you get out here on the board?
Okay, so I was doing the other part, and then I did, it's the retroactive, like, save the past 15 minutes or whatever. Just that's the
Okay.
part that it saved on. But yeah, this is the Sonic X Shadow Generations.
Yeah, that was
This one.
their big game from like last year, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I
Yeah.
finally got it. This one's cool. It's honestly, it feels like 3 games in one.
Okay.
So you have your regular Sonic, which is like the more 3D running. But each stage has two versions. It's your 3D and then your 2D side scroller version. That felt more like the classic Sonic, and you have to like kind of go through both in order to beat it. And you unlock like different things to like progress the story. So it already felt like you get the 3D version and then the 2D version that you can do in any order, which is really cool. And then as a side story, they also have basically the Shadow game, which is its own. It feels like its own solid game. Like this honestly felt like they would have released 3 separate games, but decided to put them all together. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and the Shadow one, of course, has like way more action in it. It still feels like the 3D like running, but a lot more enemies, and you have different powers and things like that as well. So if you're like a Sonic fan, this one, yeah, it's really fun.
That's cool. I do think this is one of the titles that's going to be on my radar for this Black Friday. I
Mm-hmm.
don't really have too many, but I have a rule for Black Friday that we'll probably get into later. But yeah, this was one of them that I think actually got some good praise to it. I do expect Sonic to keep coming out with a game every year. Quite literally, that's what they've been doing every year now. And I've actually kept up with most of them too. I've gotten most of them, but I haven't been playing them. And I want to start playing them. And I honestly don't think I'm gonna play a Sonic game every year, but I do want to at least keep up with them when they go on sale, right? But this one does look like it brings me back, at least with this level right here, to the Dreamcast days. Um, and so, yeah, probably a good recommendation for this because I think at the same time, it's hovering around the $30 range right now. Before all the big sales, and I'm pretty sure once the sales kick in, it'll drop to like 20. So,
Mm-hmm.
definitely keep this on your radar if you have not already. Um, what else you want to tell man? Sell us on this game. You got anything else you want to say on
Uh, Caught me off guard because I forgot this footage was gonna be here. Um, Definitely got some challenges. You can see I'm like horrible with like Sonic games. But I haven't played them in a really long time.
it?
So I think if you haven't really played a Sonic game in a long time, I feel like this is actually the perfect one to jump back into because of the fact that it has all 3 styles of a Sonic game. So if you really only like the 3D stuff, you can focus on it. If you really want to play just the 2D stuff, you can focus on it. And if you want the story-driven Shadow stuff, you can also just focus on that as well. Um, so it's a perfect like jump back in while still rewarding those who know how to play it. So it doesn't feel like they uh put in the like extra training wheels on it. Like it dives as you saw. Like I like out here losing at the beginning of the level. So it doesn't throw in training wheels. It's good for those that are big fans, but also a great jumping in point.
These are still linear games, right? Or linear boards, I should say, right?
Yeah. Some of them have some replayability because like as you're trying to unlock, you're trying to get collectibles as well as you're running through to unlock stuff. So it'll have like an upper path and a middle path as you go through. So of course, if you miss something, you probably want to replay it and try the other pathway as well. But for the most part, they're linear.
Okay,
You can
okay.
choose which level you want to do though. For the most part, in order, especially for the shadow, there's like multiple worlds, and you can just jump to the one that you want to do.
That's dope. That's dope. Um, yeah, I do remember. This will be a great segue into the next part because we'll go over the free games and sales. I do remember on Steam. I think I saw like the original Sonic Adventures and Sonic Adventures 2 that was on Dreamcast is on Steam. Usually when they do Steam sales, each game is like $1 to $2. If you were under a rock way back then and never actually played it, you could take advantage of it there. Just as far as games and sales, but usually this is the part where we give reverence to Epic Games, who gives out free games every month or every week. Why I say month? Every week. Sometimes multiple games every week. I think they've maxed out at 3 games in a week. Sometimes they'll do like a collection or something and just give out a whole series, right? But like I said plenty of times before, you don't need to have a credit card or anything on file. You could just create a profile, use a gamer tag you're familiar with that's available, and then you can sign in once you do get yourself a PC if you don't have one, or a handheld if you don't have one, and then just play everything, right? This week, one of my favorites, a game that I had already bought, was given away, or is given away right now until the 16th. So be very, very quick with it. Gravity Circuit. That's the one. It's the Metrovania style, just like some of the other ones. It looks really cool. Gives me some Mega Man vibes, a little bit of a Power Ranger vibe when they show all of them. We're all next to each other. Definitely a game I recommend you guys definitely play. It gets me excited every now and then when I see Epic Games give away something that I was like actually following for a while, and this was one of them. There is also the game Rogue Journeyman Bundle. I'm not too familiar with it, but if it's a bundle, when I hear bundle, it sounds like it's more than one. So definitely claim that as well. Also available right now until October 16th.
It's a bundle for a free game, and you have to get the free game as well.
Okay. So yeah, I believe I went in there when it first started and like claimed all of this already. But yeah, definitely jump onto that. And then from October 16th to October 23rd, one of the games is called Amnesia the Bunker. Interesting title name. I don't know too much about it, but it'll be available October 16th. And then Samaros 3. I think I remember that name. I think they gave away like a couple of the other ones before. But that's also available from October 16th to October 23rd. So definitely check these games out. The free games on Epic Games. I don't know if you have been following, but I expect you to follow. Are you familiar with what's going on with Amazon Prime right now? They got a lot of early Black Friday deals.
Yeah.
Or Black Friday looking deals based on you just being a Prime member.
Prime Days, October Prime Days.
Yeah, so tell us about that. They have one that made me very, very like I was like ready to join Prime for, and it was actually Metaphor Refuntasio. Was actually the physical version of it was $15 on Xbox, and I was looking at it like, yo, 15, but you had to be a Prime member, and I'm not used to really having Prime. I was like, by the time I do everything I need to do, like, it's not gonna be 15 no more. But anything else that has stood out to you?
Not really, because I also didn't really look into what they were doing for the Prime deals. Because I kind of forgot it was going on. I just know that they do this. They try to do it like every once in a while. If it's not once a month, it's like once every other month. Unfortunately, for some reason, it doesn't like advertise. Like I have to really dive for the games. It usually just like advertises appliances and stuff to me. But yeah, if you have an Amazon Prime account, they like to reward you with deals. So you can hop up on them.
Usually when they do something like that, Steam also follows suit, and there's a ton of things right now that is on sale that's on my own Steam wish list. And I think I was going to mention it like later on, but I'll mention it here. Like, I kind of came up with this rule now for myself just to keep myself in order, to not really just start jumping on a lot of these digital games and stuff on Steam unless it is priced under $10 or less. $10 or less is like, okay, I see that's fair. That's probably the floor price for a lot of these. And I can, just check them out. But the ones that I saw that's on sale that I'm probably going to end up paying for right away, well, obviously one of them is going to be the Whisper. What is it called? It's not going to be on sale because it was only $8 to begin with. But the game that we were supposed to play the last week, I'm gonna buy that. It was $7.99. I'm gonna grab that. But there were two other games that's on my wish list right now that I do see on sale. There's a few of them that's actually under $10, but it's two things for sure. One of them is a Metroidvania game that looked very good. It's a retro hack and slasher platformer, pixel graphics, all the bells and whistles I love. It's called Vengeful Guardian Moonrider. That one is $9.34. I'm gonna jump on top of that. A game that I'm not gonna jump on top of right now that I've praised a couple times is called Europa, which is more of like a 3D platformer where you play as this little boy that kind of look like a Ness, but he just kind of like glides around or whatever. It's like I don't necessarily want to play that right now, but that is on sale. That's something that Nintendo was pushing heavily at one point. But the other game that I am gonna get is called Trinity Fusion. That one was actually another Metrovania roguelike game that I believe I made a video probably like 2 years ago. But it's on sale right now for $4.79. So I'm gonna grab that in the Vengeful game. Spend around almost $15 and just call it a day. But outside of that, I do want to mention Horizon's game. I think it was called Lego Horizon. Horizon Zero Dawn, but the Lego version. Yeah. So that game like settled at $30 for the longest, but at one point, or I think it's still available right now on Amazon, it's at the $20 price point. I did snag that. That came in the mail, I think last night. I don't plan on playing it for a while, but it was cheaper. So Black Friday. So my rule for Black Friday going forward is if I buy a physical title, I don't spend more than $20 of my own money. And then if I buy a digital title on Steam, I don't spend more than $10 of my own money, depending on whatever the game is, basically. That'll keep me in check. I actually also don't want to make any more purchases until we get into the next Black Friday time, but I'll make some exceptions if the deal is just too good and I don't want to just like miss it. Like for example, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero was just randomly $20. They were just like, here, just take it. And I took advantage of that, right? And that was like, I think closer to the summertime. And things like that. Like if they just pull the deal out early, I'll definitely take it. But outside of that, I just kind of came to the conclusion, like, for example, Doom. Like I didn't play any of those Dooms until just now, but I have bought all of them, right? Or like I have all the Metal Gear collections and don't even never played one of them on my own. I played one of them at somebody's house at one point a long time ago, but never played it on my own. Silent Hill, haven't touched not one Silent Hill game, have pretty much all of them. Resident Evil, I could say I've actually gotten into, but for a while I had the Resident Evil games and didn't touch them either. And it's like, if you're just gonna get franchises, not even just a game, it's like straight up full franchises, when are you going to actually play them, right? And so all next year I would like to run through the titles that I actually have, and play those. With all this money hungry thing that the industry is doing, is such an unattractive thing to the consumer. It's like I might as well just get out here and just play my own stuff. I got plenty of it. And not even talking about emulation. I'm having a blast with that Hulk game, you know, and a couple other ones too. And I went through that whole Power Ranger game, Super Legends, and I have plenty of footage for that, right? So it's like there's a lot of gems in the past on emulation, and then there's a whole bunch of games that I'm pretty sure everybody bought, you know. So let's just, you know, actually play the titles. Let's like actually play it. Yeah, and that's where I am with that. But any more sales, any more news regarding any of that stuff you want to mention?
Nope, nothing I can think of.
All right, I got a couple more things on here that I can mention real quick. Shout out to the game that just came out that's probably under a whole bunch of people's radar. It's called Yuka Replay. It's a remaster of Ukulele, which was already on modern platforms, but they've made it look a lot more prettier. You know, probably fine-tune some of the mechanics a little bit. That just came out. I do have the regular one. It's a game made by the makers of Banjo-Kazooie, but they didn't have the rights to Banjo-Kazooie, so they just came up with two different characters. And like for everybody who's been asking for Banjo-Kazooie for the longest time, this really is the spiritual successor of the original team that made it. And so play this if you really want to play that type of game. I did buy the original one, so I'm kind of waiting for Epic or somebody to give this one away for free, to be honest. And they gave away the other ones for free under Epic, if I'm not mistaken. But that did just come out. I also want to mention Expedition 33, potential game of the year. Mention that they have some new DLC that's going to be coming out that's free, which is more bosses, more dungeons, just for the player, just who really enjoyed the game to just continue to keep playing, which is awesome. You can't really go bad with that, right? Amazing game. That was like one of the highlights of Game Pass for me. You had something you want to say on that?
Oh no, I was just agreeing.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, let me look at this clearly because I got chicken scratch. I think that's everything as far as that section. Definitely go check out Amazon right now to find a title that is probably really cheap on one of your favorite platforms that you can get if you have Amazon Prime. And then just go through Steam. I think there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff in Steam that you will probably like. Just remember, you know, you ain't got to have a PC yet, but as soon as you get it and you log in, everything is there. Everything is there for you to play, right? All right. We can move forward. Tell me about the stuff you want to say about Persona 5.
Yeah. So, you know, they just, instead of like releasing Persona 6, they just keep partnering with other stuff. So Persona 5 Royal is now collaborating with Japanese alcohol, so sake, one of the brands, to release 4 specialized like sake drinks. So one of them is called Joker, one of them is Violet, one of them is Crow. So like the 3 main characters of Persona 5 Royal, and then a little mini one that's perfect for sushi called Mona, a little side character. I thought this was funny, mainly because technically speaking, all the characters are high schoolers, so like it's weird that they're like it's an alcohol brand based off of this game.
There was one particular high schooler that was going to a night bar every now and then with a whole grown woman, because you know they do some questionable things over there.
You're right, and I guess Crow was out here, you know, hanging out in a nice little pool hall bar and things like the jazz club. So I guess it makes a little more sense, but yeah, that's what they're releasing. So they still keep partnering with other things, still going strong, still getting their money outside of the game. Just don't want to release Persona 6 yet.
Yeah, I think when it comes, it'll be a big deal. But right now, they do have their partnerships. I know they're still going strong inside of the new Sonic racing game, Crossroads. Because Joker is in there. Funny enough, he looks really interesting in there because he likes to jump out of his chair a lot, or jump out of the car a little bit and like kind of go woohoo a little bit in the air.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna get that game eventually too. It's probably gonna be one of my next year things. I'm playing so many racers as it is. It's like, okay, once I get through some of these racers, I could pick up that racer once that one becomes the $30 racer. You know. But yeah. Shout out to Persona 5. Shout out to Metaphor Refantazio. That is another big game that is on my radar this year for Black Friday. But yeah, I don't have too much more, but I did want to shed some light on the October releases, because I had wanted it to be a whole thing where at the beginning of every month we just highlight all the releases, but obviously last week a lot of things was going on that took the attention away from that, right? And then we was just kind of pressed for time. Now we're actually doing very good for time. And so yeah, October has historically in gaming been a very big month for gaming releases, where it seemed like the industry don't know what to do with themselves. They just threw everything out there at once. But we had some heavy hitters already in October, and then we had some other games just, show back up out of nowhere, right? The first thing I wanted to mention, October 2nd, a big day for releases, because we started off with Ghost of Yote on PS5, the Gigasaur game that I think you previewed last week, the re-release of Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 for the Switch. All of that was on October 2nd. And then October 3rd was the big Digimon Story Time Stranger release, which I hear is getting a lot more praise than they actually thought they were going to get, which is excellent. Because that means Digimon is alive. We're going to see more Digimon games in the future. I don't know if it'll be a sequel to this per se, but it'll be something, I actually think Digimon is following the footsteps of what Sonic is doing. It's just not every year. I think they're doing something like that. It looks like it's every 2 years, which is fine for me. But yeah, the Digimon Story Time Strangers, very well polished game. A lot of people are really, really into that one. That came out October 3rd, available everywhere right now. I'm looking through this list. A lot of little stuff that I never heard of that I probably should have did some research on. So my apologies, but I do see also Battlefield 6 released everywhere except the Switch. But it came out on October 10th. Another big game for the community. What you want to say?
They had to give some, like, I guess, rewards for people, or some in-game stuff, because the EA app was crashing with too many people playing, and it couldn't handle it. And even one of the Battlefield 6 people was like, "Yo, play it off of Steam, not EA," because EA just can't handle it.
Interesting.
But, yeah.
It's interesting how they have managed to turn around their franchise, because when they came out with the other Battlefield back around the time of the console releases, say it again, say the name.
2042.
Yeah, one of the big things, interesting enough, was it not having a campaign almost killed the game before it even came out for so many people. And it's like, those campaigns are short, but that's a big reason why a lot of people play. And they made sure to put a campaign in Battlefield 6. I do expect to play it at some point. But yeah, October 10th, Battlefield 6. Also on October 10th was Little Nightmares 3. This is available everywhere. That is on PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, Switch, and Switch 2, and PC. You have no excuse not to play this game. I believe I have both the first and the second. This is another series where I have to admit, even now in a Halloween type month, I have not gotten into this series. I probably won't, because I'm booked for Halloween this month with some other games, but I might actually get into the first one in February. February is always like Halloween 2 for me. based on all the movies and stuff we used to watch. But yeah, October 10th was this was released. Also on October 10th, I also see East versus Trails in the Sky Alternative Saga. I just mentioned it because I know that name rings bells with some people. This is available everywhere except Xbox. Interesting enough, PS4, PS5, Switch, and PC. No Switch 2 version, but you can play this on Switch 2 if you have the Switch version of this. I don't really know too much about this. I just recognize the name. NASCAR 25. I told y'all I'm into the racers, but I might have to look into that. That came out, or that's coming out October 14th. Also on October 14th, Just Dance 2026. My co-host is so excited about this. He's going to be just dancing, giving us plenty of footage. That's October 14th. October 16th, a game that I actually pre-ordered and forgot about. Pokemon Legends ZA. Switch and Switch 2 only, and possibly the Steam Deck for some of you people out there. This is on October 16th. Big game for a certain community. A community that harasses retailers for them cards. I see plenty of videos. Shame. Let's see. Jurassic World Evolution 3. Available everywhere except the Switch, October 21st. Also on October 21st, a big heavy hitter, Ninja Gaiden 4. Everywhere except the Switch again. Well, everywhere current, not on Xbox One or PS4 either. But PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. You could play Ninja Gaiden 4. I believe that is also a day one release on Game Pass. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Also coming out on the same day, October 21st. That game has had its ups and downs as far as its media is concerned. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to how the game actually plays, right? And if you actually like it. Let's see. We almost out of titles. If you really care, Plants versus Zombies Replanted is coming out on everything October 23rd. This gen and last gen and PC. Everything. And then we have Power Wash Simulator 2, which is on current consoles, including Switch 2 and PC. That is on October 23rd as well. Tormented Souls 2, also October 23rd. Everything but the Switch on the current systems. So that's Xbox and PC and PS5. And then last but not least, we have, well, it's three more things. The Outer Worlds 2 on Xbox Series, the PS5, and PC. This is going to be on October 29th. Look out for that game. The Outer Worlds 2 had its showcases and everything back this past summer. So if you need more information, definitely go watch some of those videos. They'll have it all laid out for you. Arc Raiders on October 30th. This is on the PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. No Switch 2 release. And then the very last thing that I will mention is actually a game that I'm looking forward to. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D Remake. This will be available on PS5, Xbox Series systems, the Switch and Switch 2, and then the PC on October 30th. And that's it, man. That's a big list. That's still a big list. I skipped over a lot of things, but that's still a big list. I don't think it's too many big names as compared to last year. I also don't think a lot of things here is going to be anywhere near the game of the year. But at the very least, there's a lot of variety of titles in here for a lot of people to catch and enjoy. I'm also sure half of them will be on a nice little sale the very next month. This seems to be a thing too. I've also noticed when I study this. They overpack October, half of it don't actually sell, and then it just goes onto a super sale right in the Black Friday time. I don't expect everything to drop that low, especially in the price point that I'm looking for. But I do expect some of these games to jump to the $45 mark, maybe $40 mark, if they're all like $60 and $70 titles. So you might be able to get a good deal on something that is brand new. Um, Anything that I've mentioned that you can remember, because I mentioned a bunch of things that you are looking forward to that you might want to pick up right away.
The Outer Worlds 2. So that's one of the games that I've been looking forward to. I was a real big fan of the first Outer Worlds game.
Okay.
One of my favorite games. Um, and I'm really excited for the Outer Worlds 2. Like I feel like the gameplay, at least from the first one, gameplay was fun. The story had its own little ridiculousness, but like you tend to really like the characters. It doesn't take itself too serious without being like a full just joke game. So I would say yeah, the Outer Worlds 2 is the main one that I'm looking forward to. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna be a day one buy. It's probably gonna be closer to Black Friday time, and because I just don't want to pay full price for things. But if it is on sale, if I got some sale stuff for it, it'll probably be when I pick it up. But that's one that I'm excited for.
All right. I think that's the show. Maybe we can get back to shorter show times. Funny enough, I did also use the entire footage that I had queued for this, which is good, including the footage on the screen, which is Oblivion Remake. That's a game I do think I'm also gonna probably get for Black Friday. I still might end up getting the Xbox version, but I don't want to go through this in Game Pass. I think it would be one of those things that probably might take too long. And with mine set to expire October 21st, like why would I want to rush a game that
Yeah, if you're
is
wondering,
very beloved, right?
if you are wondering how long it takes, some people were able to beat the game in like about 10 to 15 hours. Other people, after 100 hours, they just made it to the first mission. So it really depends on you.
It
And
depends
I
on
mean, it was
you.
a legit 100 hours and they made it. Now, I will suggest for anybody who isn't getting this, and this isn't necessarily like a spoiler. However, there's a main mission that has to do with like a siege in like an early town, and you have to
Hmm.
like go save it. Do that mission before reaching level 10.
Okay.
So what's nice is you don't force a level up. What ends up happening is whenever you rest in the game, like you go to sleep for a few hours, if you had gained enough experience, that's how you level up. So you can force it to where you can play as long as you want and stay level 1, and it will never move you to level 2 if you just don't sleep.
Hmm.
But then you don't get to unlock, like other things and get skill points, for certain things. But yeah, that whole saves like one of the early towns before you reach level 10. If you wait till after level 10, it completely ramps up because it tries to match the enemies to whatever level you are and your skill level to whatever you are. So that whole point of that mission is supposed to be slightly challenging because it's supposed to be like the town is overrun with enemies and you got to fight them all. And the NPCs try to help you as much as possible. But if you wait till you're too strong of a level, it'll put too strong of enemies in that area again with them all like overwhelmingly trying to get you because it's supposed to be an overwhelming amount to begin with. So then it becomes way more difficult and almost impossible um if you wait too late to do that mission.
Okay. I'm not sure if I used this footage before, but I do know I tapped into it last week and it was only for like a couple minutes. That's why I wanted to like flesh it out here. But this will probably be my last Oblivion footage for a little while until I actually get the game. Um, but I do want to say that is the show. Thank you so much, everybody. I can probably mention, so I said before Halloween, this is Halloween month. I don't necessarily celebrate Halloween, but I've done a bunch of Halloween stuff so far. Um, I am playing technically Doom the Dark Ages, which isn't really Halloween that much, but I mean, close enough for an action game, right? The reason I'm playing that is just because I'm trying to get done with it for Game Pass. But then right after that, I do want to start two titles, which I know one of them I am absolutely going to start this Thursday, which is the original Resident Evil 4. I'm going to play the PS4 version on PS5, and then I want to play Callisto Protocol on PC, and hopefully have footage from both titles. I will have footage from both titles to showcase here during the month. But hopefully as early as next week, I'll have the Resident Evil footage, because I only need like 15 to 30 minutes, right? That shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah.
But yeah,
For
and
me,
then, yeah, go ahead.
I'm doing spooky month stuff too. So, game wise, I am currently playing Guacamelee 2, which takes place like Day of the Dead, like, you know, you're in the like ghost world and stuff like that. Whole premise. So that's been pretty fun. Tomorrow, I actually have a day off of my normal work, and I'm gonna spend the day until dawn and like finally play through it.
Okay.
The game. So excited for that. And then I've been watching the animated Resident Evil movies finally. So I've watched the first two so far.
Okay. Yeah. There was one of them where I watched clips for all the time where they went against a particular tyrant that's in Resident Evil 2, but it was like the movie version. I forgot the name of the movie though, but I just know I've watched the clips from that a lot, like all the time.
You know what clip I've watched?
What?
There's a scene where Leon is taking down like a room full of zombies, and it's him shooting, but they decided to play Michael Jackson sounds over it. So it's like him taking down the enemies, just like ooh, ooh, like doing the dancing, and it's like come on, like as he's like shooting them.
Yeah, I know Resident Evil Requiem is going to be coming out at some point. I'm surprised they didn't get it for right now, but I think that one's set for February. That is supposed to include Leon, from my understanding. Even though the focus is not on him at all, they don't even have him in the clips or anything. Like with Chris Redfield, they had him in the clips, but everybody was like for Resident Evil 8, they were all gushing over the tyrant, which was the tall chick with the hat and stuff. So, but he was in it, and it was the first time seeing him since Resident Evil 6.
Other than the people that was going crazy for the girl, I actually saw people go crazy for him, like the first reveals from the people who weren't just, you know, going crazy about that. Like when everyone was first revealed, I saw everyone getting excited about Chris, so there was some excitement when he got back.
Yeah. So I'm very much into Resident Evil. Silent Hill is trying to put their name out there again. I do appreciate the work they've done, because they're coming out with titles. The Silent Hill 1 remake is on its way. 2 is already out, and then they also just released Silent Hill F. Right? So if anybody wants to play some horror games, there's definitely some new horror games out there. Also want to shout out real quick Chronos The New Dawn, which is an original title, another horror game out there that y'all can play. Just for this. And then November is when I'm gonna dial it back a little bit. I'm gonna play I want to play at least one of my titles from the past, which the main one is, I believe, going to be the Wolverine Uncaged game. And then I think December I'll probably follow it up with the Transformer one, Transformer Fall of Cybertron. And then kind of, rotate around, still play some new stuff, some old stuff. But the main thing is that leading into 2026, from January until Black Friday 2026, I'm going to challenge myself to play through the games I have. Yes, I'll still take care of some deals whenever deals present themselves, but I want to actually play up to 3 titles a month. and really just flesh out what I have, because it's going to just continue to pile up. And it's like, well, here's another franchise you ain't touched. Are you going to play this one? Are you going to play that one? Are you going to play that one? And when I say franchises, like something like Metal Gear, that's a franchise, right? Final Fantasy is a franchise. And it's like, well, you're not really playing these games, but you got them. So, yeah, I'm going to get on that. That's the end of the show, about an hour and 20 minutes. So like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will catch you on the next one. I do believe I'm probably not going to be here next week. We'll follow up the very next week after that. And then we'll probably have a bunch of whole, horror stuff, a lot of horror stuff we could show. But yeah, I'll catch y'all on the next time. Peace.